Hey, it's Surface Geeks, episode number 34, recorded on Wednesday, August the 7th. I'm your host, David McCabe. I'm joined by Mr. Darren Cohen. How are you doing tonight, Darren?
I'm doing well. Another Wednesday. There's actually news. Every week you think, is there enough? There always seems to be enough.
Exactly. I was like, when I was looking through the news, like, some of this is boring, some of this is boring, some of this is boring. But hey, we're gonna liven it up because we're gonna do something tonight that I'm really excited about, and we're gonna set up future podcasts, and we're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. We're not exactly talking Surface, but hey, we're talking some more stuff. We're talking Windows 8 apps, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Darren, I feel like the last couple of weeks, we've kind of whittled away at poor Microsoft and all of its partners and companies and employees and everything else, and it's like time to turn the Surface Geek bus around and put some positive jives out there and talk about some good stuff.
Well, it is a better week of news, and I'd like to call it tough love.
Tough
It's
love. It
it's it's
was we gave it some tough love, but not
it,
only Microsoft.
no.
I gave tough love to you'll recall podcasting apps, Twitter apps. I've been pretty rough on it, and I got I got a tweet last week. It says I forget who sent it to me, but they'll know when they hear this. It's like, Dave, you're really rough on this app stuff. I mean, come on, what's up with that? And I thought about it, and usually you pop off a response, and it's in defending yourself. But I thought about it, and I was thinking, apps kind of define the person. You yourself, Darren, you have a couple of apps I know that are near and dear to your heart. They're at the top of your page. If I took those away from you right now and said you cannot use these, you would probably drop that phone, drop that platform. So we all have apps that are near and dear to our heart and things that we do day in, day out that have to be there. And unfortunately for some folks that's the Instagram thing. But if I thought, what's my deal? What is near and dear to my heart? And that is the two things that I've been railing on lately: Twitter
And
and
podcasts.
podcasts. Yeah, you read my mind. And podcasts. And I'm almost there. I am so in a better state of mind right now because I'm just almost there. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about later is Twitter, and I'm going to talk about some apps. I'm going to talk about my podcasting app, and that was referred to me actually. But once again, episode 34. We are 34 into this thing. We're getting close to our meetup 2013, taking place in Indianapolis, August 21st, which is a Saturday. We're taking pre-registrations on Friday, and we're going to kind of have like a meet and greet on
September
Friday.
21st.
What's that?
Did you say August 21st, or did I
Did I
mishear
say
you?
September?
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Okay. Chat room caught me. Thank you very much. We're September 21st. I could not do it August 21st to save my life. I would die. Jim Collison, my co-host on Home Server Show, knows I would physically die. I've been working on it all day. I've been working on it so much all day long that I couldn't even do the Home Server Show podcast. I could not wrap my brain around it. I was just not ready. I needed the extra 2 hours to work on it. But I would love for you to consider attending. We're going to have a great time. I've been in touch with a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people. And I'm making inroads into more companies, into more demo units, and to more giveaway items. So you really should go. Check in the forums, surfacegeeks.net/forums, if you would like to look at the top. It's there. Homeservershow.com. The forums there is a thread that Jim Collison started about getting and giving rides. So we're going to have a lot of guys coming in and out of the Indianapolis airport. We're going to have a lot of guys driving. So you can use that thread to try to team up with someone if you would like to have someone pick you up on the way. There's probably a car driving from every direction on this green earth to Indianapolis. We are converging. And check that check that post. I think it would be good for the drivers. Get some gas money. Get someone to help keep you awake. Listen to some podcasts on the way. But meet up September 21st. We're gonna have a real good time. We've got two tracks. We've got a mobile and a computing track, and we've got a home and home media track. So we're gonna do home storage, home media like Media Center and things like that, Windows 8, and then we're going to do a mobile track and all the things that you can do with Surface, Windows Phone, and good things like that. So we're going to have some fun. Now, you can see and follow me at Surface Geeks on Twitter, and Fins Up DNC. That's FINSUPDNC, and that's Mr. Darren Cohen. But Darren, did you happen to check our blog today?
I did. I read the post by our newest Surface Geeks writer.
We got a new Surface Geek.
We do.
We do. Mr. Leonard Welch, we'd like to welcome him. Sorry, I've got my Microsoft mug full of Tassimo coffee this evening. So we'd like to welcome him. He's got 2 articles written, Darren. And already, after 2 articles, I'm green-lighting the guy. I'm just physically green-lighting him. Now, green-light in my little blog world in my head means that he's clear to write on his own. I still haven't given him his password yet, but I've got to do I do a blog school, and what I do is I just kind of go through things with people and tell them how to do it, what not to do, how to format images, how to do things that make the blog turn and burn. So I will do blog school with Leonard soon, and he's got another article that's really cool. I can't wait for you guys to read this article. It's a Windows Phone article. It's going to be really good. But Darren, that just makes me think that I'm ready to open the blog up to more folks. And I think that you're out there. I think that you want to write, and I think that you would like to be a part of this team. And I'm asking for you to contact me, podcast@surfacegeeks.net. I would love to add you in blog school for Surface Geeks and get you writing some articles. Darren, I think we could use like a news guy, and I think that we could use a couple of app guys.
Absolutely. Some people actually, it'd be cool to hear from people actually developing for the platform and using all these platforms, not just Windows 8 and Windows Phone and RT. Hopefully, people are still going to compile for ARM. Please.
Right.
I'm looking at you, people in Northwest. RT.
Keep it going. But yeah,
which we'll
I
talk
think
about
that
in a bit, because that Leonard's article was about a few comments on. He wrote about that. We'll get to that in a bit.
Yep. But I think that we could add some app reviewers, and I know you're out there. You're like me. You don't think twice about spending 99 cents, $1.99, $2.99 on a couple of apps, and you'd like to tell some folks about it. So tell me via a WordPress article. That means you can write it up in Word. We can do this all on SkyDrive. You can write up your review and give it to me, and it helps to be a little proficient at writing, but you don't need prior experience. You don't have to be a journalist. You don't have to be a podcaster. You don't have to be a blogger. So just get in touch with me, podcast@surfacegeeks.net. If you're an app freak and you like to try it out and you like to share your thoughts, maybe you do it on Facebook already. Maybe you do it on G+, somewhere socially. Get in touch with us. Now you said developer. So I think what would be cool also, Darren, is here's what I'm thinking. If there's a developer out there that would be willing to come on board Surface Geeks and maybe start a series of articles. And see, I would be your first student if you're listening, developer. I would be your first student. Teach me how to get started. Let's say I've got a small coding background and I would like to jump in and maybe try my hand at the applications and some basic code. Work me through a Hello World on Windows Phone 8 or RT or even Windows 8. So if you think that would be up, your cup of tea, I think you could be the Surface Geeks developer trainer kind of guy. Write some articles. Um, further your platform. I think, as you know, when you get out here on podcasts and on the blog, you kind of have a spot to stand up and be seen, and you can obviously, tout your brand. You can give yourself more exposure. And by doing this, I was able to get into the Microsoft MVP program. So there's a lot of benefits. It is work, but there are a lot of benefits. Now the other thing is I'm opening up all of my blogs for all of my writers for a type of monetization. Now I'm not saying you're going to get rich, but every time that I link to Amazon or Newegg or something like that, legitimately, you can't just go out there and throw links. But if you put a link to an application in your article, someone clicks on it, someone buys it, maybe you make a couple of pennies. You get good enough at this, you write enough enough articles, and you're going to make enough money back to, help out your endeavor. I'm not going to say you're going to make a whole lot of money, but it will help out your endeavor. If you have questions on this, on monetization or writing or being that developer for the blog, please let me know. podcast@surfacegeeks.net. I know you guys are out there, so let me know, and maybe we can get you on the podcast. So I think Darren and I could. I think we could use a third.
I agree.
Yeah, we have Richard Hay out there every once in a while. He's out right now as we speak, chasing rockets out there in northern Florida.
I saw
tried
that
to
on
drag
Twitter.
him in here because we got a couple of apps to talk about from Bing, and he was playing with them on Twitter, and I was going to try to get him in here, but we'll get Richard Hay, WindowsObserver.com, out here a whole lot more, I hope. So, all right, that is the cleanup that I wanted to do, Darren. News, forums, apps. We're going to start it. Surface Geeks 34. What do we got for me?
All right. Let's start this overall Microsoft in the news.
Okay.
People are paying attention to the Microsoft analyst meeting coming up in September because of the reorg and all the news around that. There'll be people paying attention to that. Mary Jo Foley had an article up that quoted two analysts, one from, I think it was UBS, which I think is still Paine-Webber, and Raymond James. And they were just talking about things they're looking for in this call. And I think it would be the same things, most of the people who listen to this podcast want to hear about, except for, greater clarity on margins, not the biggest thing we worry about. Services traction, I think that'd be cool to see how the services are lining up compared to, especially with the new subscription model. Something interesting was information what the company is thinking on the succession plan from Steve Ballmer. I don't know if if they're looking for something in the immediate future or if they're just looking for a long-term plan, but I guess they want to hear something. Then they want to hear the, again, margins for the Raymond James guy. They want real numbers around Office 365 and Azure, which I think I talked about a few weeks ago being more of the future of where Microsoft is going. And with all that, Mary Jo Foley says they probably will talk about none of it, but these are things people want to hear, so people are paying attention to these financial meetings based on the fact there was a reorg and everything that happened in June, I think it was in first week of July. So, I don't know if this isn't really exciting stuff, but it really can tell you where Microsoft's heading in the next 6 months to a year. And I think that's the stuff we want to hear about. And sometimes you got to get through the boring nitty-gritty to get the...
Yeah, it's going to be all in code.
Right, to get to the fun stuff.
To dig through it,
And luckily there are people out there, not us, who are financial analysts and such, who can dig through it for us and let us know.
Yeah, not many times they say, yeah, and we got that 8-inch Surface RT ready to go.
And I thought this was a huge story. And I think we're starting to see more and more stories like this. And Microsoft is promoting it. Which is smart because Google has definitely promoted whatever company or school district took on Google Apps. You heard about it everywhere. Like, that was the end of Exchange and that was the, whatever. British Airways and their parent company, IAG, are putting 58,000 airline staff on Office 365. That is a big company, that is a big number, and apparently they say that it's going to cut their costs a lot. Um, Basically, mail, calendar, all the stuff, from Exchange,
Hmm.
SkyDrive, and all that fun stuff, and they can collaborate. I'm sure they'll have Link. Um, this is the future. This is the future of Microsoft, and majority of enterprise and corporate are on in-house Exchange right now. And I think a lot are going to stay there for a while, especially with this new privacy stuff and the NSA stuff. I know if you're a company, you might not be not trusting another company, so they'll keep their Exchange model going. I don't think that's going anywhere. But for those looking, an easy way to move over to the cloud, as the whole world wants to move to the big marketing cloud, also known as the internet, the the rebranded internet. It does give them a great option. It easily syncs into a company's Active Directory, which most companies are still using for in offices and stuff. So I think we're going to see a lot of stories like this. And like I said, but the bad news with Windows 8, and we've talked about it, and like you said at the beginning, we've been a little negative, and or I call it tough love. There is a lot of positive Microsoft news, and a lot of it's around really what is the future. The future is Office 365, business and home side. The future is Azure, and all these companies are moving. I mean, Azure has some insane numbers of corporate sites
It
running on
does.
their
It's
platform.
$1 billion company,
So, I
billion
mean,
dollar product, I guess.
and on top of that, it's from the same vein. I probably really mess up the pronunciation of this name. It's a Japanese insurance company, Meiji Yasuda.
I think you
Uh,
got the last name.
oh, ah, Meiji, Meiji. Okay, I'm sorry. Someone please at FinsUpDNC tell me how I really
Mr.
embarrass myself.
Yasuda.
Okay, Mr. Yasuda. Mr. Yasuda is a big insurance company.
Yasuda-san.
This is kind of a cool story. They have 30,000 employees right now running on Windows XP, and they're looking to upgrade, and they're skipping Windows 7 and going right to Windows 8.
That's nice.
All their salespeople are getting specially made Fujitsu, I think it was. I want to make sure I got that right. Fujitsu tablets. So instead of before, all the salespeople were printing out stuff and going to their meetings, they're just taking the Fujitsu tablets with them. And this goes against the whole notion that companies are gonna, I don't know what people are thinking, where they go to Linux. From XP, the XP end of life is coming, I think a year from September. I think September 2014. So a lot of companies are going to move to Windows 7, and that's fine. Companies, it's almost smart to say a couple years behind the trend based on security and updates and flaws. But it's kind of cool to hear a big company in Asia. I mean, 35,000. Again, this is not a small company, and they're going right to Windows 8. And I think it's interesting that they're making a tablet for them. They're a big enough company, and we have a lot of these Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies in the U.S. that are big enough that could probably go to manufacturers, whether it's Dell or even Microsoft maybe with a Surface, and say, I need these specs for my 50,000 employees or 100,000 employees. And it would be worth it. Look at the number of Surface are selling. I mean, it's kind of cool to see that the OEM working with a partner like that to create a tablet just for them. So that is huge, and again, a cool story. Microsoft should be putting this out everywhere, press release, PRY, or everywhere else. Some people think this actually works. So, again, positive news.
Positive news. No, you're right. It's a great feather in their cap, especially for Windows 8. It's a big feather about the British Airways, using Office 365. That is a lot. That's a lot of seats using that product, and it just takes a couple of dominoes, to fall.
Listen, I'm an Office 365 user, a very happy one on the like at the medium-sized business, I think it's under, which is up to 300 employees. The service is great. It allows you, especially if you're dealing with, if you have people all over the place and you don't have to worry about the hardware costs. It upgrades by itself. The security updates are by themselves. You get full Exchange, and you get full. I mean, let's be honest. People now We're in 2013, so you're talking close to 20 years of using Microsoft Outlook in their office. That was the
Yeah.
first PIM, and what most are still comfortable with. So the fact they made that transition so easy for the customer. And I think Microsoft knew this was coming because hosted exchange is really taking off the last few years from places like Rackspace and others, and Intermedia was a big one that were offering to host your exchange. So now Microsoft took out that middleman. You could start with plans, by the way, even if you just have your own domain, even if you don't want to use gmail.com or outlook.com.
Hmm.
They're $5 a month, and you can get full exchange.
I need to pony up because I'm growing ever so tired of Outlook.com. I'm sorry to go negative again, but I'm growing tired of that.
Outlook.com, it's hard. You use your domains, and as do I.
Several
Several
domains.
several domains. So I think I was just adding. I never had on my Office 365 account. I only had my work domains, and I'm like, you know what? And actually earlier today, I'm like, I'm adding my DarrenCohen.me domain there.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well just put it in there. You can add as many domains you want, and you just go into the Exchange properties, and you can add your email addresses. And it'll apply to whatever one it was sent to. You're gonna when you're dealing with, like I said, personal domains, and there's something nice about having your personal domain, your own email. This way, in the future, if it's Microsoft or Yahoo or Google, or I'm sure some companies we don't exist yet, have some great email product, you don't have to tell anybody. You can change your settings. You own the domain. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, Office 365 makes that real easy. It's $5 a month, and like I said, Google Apps. Everyone's like, "But it's only $5 a month, and look at all this get." It's the same price.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I've obviously I've been putting it off. I've been putting it off for a reason because I thought someday it may be given out as like MSDN, like you get one seat
right.
of Office 365, and it's just time. I need to buy it. What I would have to do, and what I would do, is just buy it, get a year, and move over to it because I love the rules. I have to have the rules. That is like my number one with email. I need rules, and then I need to be able to have many domains
And Outlook's great for that.
come in and then sort. And then I need that same experience all over. I need it on RT. I need it on a laptop. I need it on Windows Phone. I need it, honestly, I need it on a Mac, and I need it on Windows 7, everything. I
Well,
need it everywhere.
all right. Well, if you have Office 365, you get a couple options. On the email side, for the $5 a month, you get the web version. If you own Outlook, which you have MSDN, I guess. I think you just said. You connect Outlook to it, and they have Outlook for Mac. They have Outlook for your Windows. The web version, the Outlook web app, especially the new version, is great. So it gives you all those options. You have the rules. You can point it with folders, and on your Windows 8 device, you can pin those folders. And you'll have Exchange Active Sync, so you get your email right away, instantly. There's no IMAP, there's no polling, there's no anything. It just works. And
It just works. You're not supposed to say that.
Why?
It
actually does just work. No one can patent
I'm looking
that
at it. $99 per year. Buy now. There's a try now.
But isn't that for the Home Premium? That's Home Premium.
That's
not for email. You don't want that. That's actually just Office.
Okay.
You want to go to if you go to office365.com and then click on Small Business.
Office 3.
I think we're just hello.
Did we?
I think you. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
And while you're looking at that, this kind of goes into. I know people in the chat room right now are talking about Surface RT and they love their Surface RTs. If you have updated your Surface RT to Windows Blue 8.1, that you get Outlook now as part of Office on there.
I have that.
As do I. And that, like I was saying before the show in the chat room, when this finally goes live, and right now RTM is supposed to be sometime in August, and I'm a little worried because 8.1 is still quite buggy. I like a lot of new features.
I'm getting more of that, yeah.
So I hope they don't rush it.
Yeah, you're right. No. Right.
If it's September, it's September. Just get it right, because they don't get another do-over with that. But one thing about having Outlook on the RT is that that ad, just put the Surface RT on a TV, on every TV screen, running Microsoft Outlook, real Outlook, showing email, and then put the price above it of $349, which it is now, and I'm sure I still say that's where it's going to end up being, even if they come out with a new version. And every person who sits in their upper level management, whatever you want to call it, C-suite, vice president above in these corporations, who spend three-quarters of their day on Outlook,
they're going to take notice. They're going to be like, I can get Outlook on that?
they are going to pick up their iPhone, because they don't use Android at that level. They're going to pick up their iPhone and be emailing their IT guy, what the hell is Surface? It runs Outlook. Get me one. And I just hope that they have to push that. Office 365, this is, you want positive. That's where Microsoft should be, and just pushing that, because that is a positive experience. And I know Leonard, who wrote the blog post on our on surfacegeeks.net, is in the chat room, and he wrote, I'm going to read his last paragraph of his blog post while...
okay, read it.
Thanks, Jim. He just said, Jim Collison just said Darren is smoking weed. It's been a little while, Jim.
It's been some
We can
time.
organize something at the meetup. He said, I don't doubt that Microsoft has tread lightly with their OEMs to encourage platform growth. That said, every OEM, with the exception of Dell, has moved away from an RT-based tablet. The battle can be lost in the crucial first months after release. My thought is, if it can't be priced competitively, we're once again setting ourselves up for disappointment, regardless of the manufacturer. Perhaps the battle and any hope for a successful Microsoft tablet has been lost already. The Surface brand has most certainly been tarnished, perhaps irreparably. So ask yourself, will you buy an 8-inch Surface RT?
That's what he asked in his article, yes.
That's what he asked in his article. I agree with a lot of what he said, and I think last week, 2 weeks ago, I said I don't know if there's going to be another RT device, and that really that would anger me, because the first Android phone was the G1 on T-Mobile. Well, the first really publicly available Android phone was a G1 on T-Mobile, and I'm not going back to look at the sales, but I'll tell you this: it probably did not sell as well as the Surface. No one had that. It was fine. It was a piece of crap. It was a ugly box.
The chin
that did nothing.
Yeah.
It stunk. Even the first iPhone, we went back a couple weeks ago and looked at the sales numbers. It wasn't until the second iteration where that really took off. The first iPad sold some. It was the second one that really took off. So Microsoft has to say, okay, what did we learn? And I think a lot of it's pricing. A lot of it's pricing. A lot of it was confusion, RT versus Windows 8. And a lot of it was the overall Windows 8 chatter, I think, that brought down the RT behind it. But I still think there is a big place in the ecosystem for an ARM tablet that runs. And everyone's talking Haswell. And we have the Haswell laptops coming out that can run full Windows 8 Pro, and they have 12-hour battery lives. All the Haswell things that are out now run very hot. They have fans. In fact, they have multiple fans. And an ARM device like a Surface RT, you get the battery life. It doesn't have fans. It's quiet. It's a tablet. It's a real tablet they can do production on. And that's what I've been saying since the beginning.
I'm following you. Yeah.
I think Microsoft needs to make that point. I think, people talk about the write-off, the write-down, whatever, $900 million. But they still made plenty of money. And, if they lose $3 billion on this product, but in the next 25 years make $25 billion on it, who cares they lost $3 billion? This isn't a quarter-to-quarter game. Apple almost went out of business. They didn't come back in a quarter. And Microsoft's still in the premier position in tech. And I know we were laughing on Twitter yesterday. Someone said we're so negative, stop the conspiracy theories against Microsoft, but the world. And I was joking. I responded and I said, no, the world has no conspiracy theory. Microsoft still remains on more devices than anyone else by far. It might not seem that way.
Yeah. I've had a lot more experience now with 8-inch and the Acer W3. I don't know if I told you last week I had a non-paying buyer, and so I pulled it back out and I went through the entire process once again. Loaded it up, booted it, got 8.1 on it again. I start using it. I don't have a laptop, so I start using it. And it's painful. It's not a great screen, but I really needed to be productive with that little 8-incher, and I was having a hard time doing it. And I think it's because I kept wanting to go into desktop because it is pro, and it made me realize, if it's Windows 8 RT, I can stay in a Metro environment where buttons are big, text is bigger, and things are one screen at a time. It's designed for it. I think I can be productive, but if you put that desktop on there, I'm not productive. So
Right, right.
it's frustrating, and it drives it home what we've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks, that the desktop was maybe not such a good idea, and it did inject confusion. Windows 8 in general didn't help, just like you said, because I mean, tons of people are poo-pooing on it, and Windows 8.1 seems to be the right answer. I told you last week in my laptop shopping, it was such a refreshing change to get back to my RT, back to 8.1, where I can make small little icons. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you make that desktop background in desktop the same as Metro,
It changes the whole machine.
one little swipe, and
Hmm.
it's an additional screen. It's like when you get a software for your desktop that you can make multiple desktops. I do this on a Mac a lot, where I can have apps open on many different desktops, and I just switch to that desktop. I don't minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize. I'm switching desktops, and that's what it feels like. It's not jarring. It's just desktop slides over, and your Metro tiles pop up. It's such a better feeling than Windows 8. It's a better experience, and that's what really got me excited about going to a touch laptop, with Windows 8. So
And I think other Jim in the chat room just made a point saying that people are price aware. So a netbook or a laptop in the $400 range, you can get them for $299 now, even less than $400. People are gonna say, "Hey, that's a full computer. I'm gonna buy that." And I think that's as much of a problem as Windows 8 is. I think the hardware that's being people are buying it. Every new computer you buy now has Windows 8 on it. No matter if it's a 3-year-old hardware they're selling in the stores, they put Windows 8 on it. And I think so people get home and they get these clunky, slow devices, and it's running this odd operating system with no touch. It just doesn't fit. And I think that that kind of goes back to that whole Vista issue, which I think we had a couple of years a couple of years back, the wrong hardware running on it. And I don't know what Microsoft can do about that. I don't. They're out there, and you have the Chromebooks running for $200, $300, $400, which are internet browsers. But people are selling. I know Amazon has that one of them. That's their number one selling laptop. I don't know how many it's actually selling. I haven't seen more than one or two out in the open.
yeah, I've never seen them in the wild, but
I've seen a couple.
I've spent enough time shopping for laptops lately that
Hmm.
when you walk by them, they are attractive. I mean, I'll hand you that.
Yes.
Um, they are attractive. I can see where that may be a direction for a lot of people someday, if they feel like they need a laptop experience rather than a tablet experience. It's mostly mental. A lot of
Hmm.
folks are stuck on that laptop,
And the
and
price. It looks like you get more for your money.
price is, I think,
Even if
Google.
you're getting less, even if
True.
the actual hardware inside that laptop could not touch even performance of a Surface RT,
Well, people
like
that
I
buy
get
it
this
are
big
probably not
thing.
even thinking about that. They're not thinking,
No.
well, I can't run Photoshop on this. The people are asking them, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to
Right.
look at email. I'm going to browse the web. I'm go on to Amazon. I'll probably look at Facebook. You can do that all right there. But not advocating Chromebooks because I'm still
Listen, they have a place. I think they're great for if you have students in the house, young kids, give them a web
I
browser. It's all they're using
yeah, I
anyway.
think I would still steer someone to a tablet before I would still steer someone to a Chromebook. I've never recommended to a customer, to a friend, a Chromebook. I
Hmm.
can't. I'm just not there yet. Um, but I think Google just changed the game by introducing their little 8-inch tablet, or their
7-inch.
iPad mini competitor. Actually,
Yeah.
it's a 7. They're calling it a 7. It's like
I think it's 7.8
practically 8
inches.
inches.
Yeah.
With a higher resolution, not higher resolution, but higher pixel density
Mhm.
than the so-called Retina display, and they're bringing it, and they're bringing it starting price at $229. I think they changed the game on us.
I I think that, and you have I think we talked about this a little bit last week, and the new Kindle Fire HD has some unreal specs that comes out in I think September, similar. And now
Well, we don't know for sure though, do we?
I think those have been pretty much
And
the
aren't those
Kindle.
people? Hasn't the Kindle Fire cycled through Tech Geeks?
I don't know.
It's that's not
They're
that's
not
not
for
the that's
they're
not
not
the
for
tablet
tech.
of choice, is it? It's
No,
just people that don't know better.
you say that, but I noticed on Twitter a lot of the tech
Really?
journalists use those as their tablet because a
You
lot of
see
them
the
live the Amazon
tweeted
world.
by what the app is?
Was that? Oh yeah, you could see that too with the Kindle. But you see that they actually talk about it. They actually say,
Okay.
they're they use it in
I'm
their.
throwing that out there. I'm just saying, haven't we worked past that? It was a novelty at first, and then they brought out the what is that, $50 a year for 3G access
Yeah.
to get your books and whatever, and I just see it as a novelty.
One thing I will say, and I think it kind of fits in this part where overall, we were just talking about the Microsoft software and their ecosystem, and I think if we're going, especially on the positive end, I think Microsoft is building a great ecosystem, and I think somewhere in the last few months, for sure, they've kind of pivoted, and they're still going to build the hardware, and we like like I said, we like our RTs. We have the Windows phones. I go back and forth with mine. But one thing I've noticed is on Android and on the iPhone, Microsoft, that great software ecosystem, they are pushing full out onto these devices to push their subscription models. I just downloaded Office for the Android phone. It's awesome. It is fast. It connects to my SkyDrive and my SkyDrive Pro right inside the app, just like
What can you truly do on your
the same as
Android
you can.
phone with that?
I opened Excel and was editing cells,
I mean,
playing with a
do
pie
you
chart.
do you view?
It's mostly for viewing. It's the same as your
These
Windows
third
phone.
quarter results that you just look at it.
Well, it's the same as your. Well, exactly. You get Jim from accounting sent you the weekly report. So you just open it, you look at it, you can zoom in, zoom out. It's
That's
very.
like that's like using this thing as a remote desktop client, if you ask me.
It is. I mean, you have
It's
Office on Windows
awesome
Phone,
that I can do it, and I can say,
but
"Look, I connected to my desktop at home."
there are people. There are people that just live on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And again, like we said with the Surface RT, if you show the fact it runs Outlook, there's a segment of the population who's going to be like, I live in Outlook. It runs Outlook. Now, I have a folder on my Android or iPhone desktop that has got my SkyDrive app, my Office app,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay because in order to use the Office app, you have to be an Office 365 either Home Premium or Business subscriber. So even if you're a 2010 Office user right now, you go onto your phone or you're the CEO of a company, you go to download Office. Sorry, this is not for you. Hey, make sure this works, and all of a sudden that whole company's now running, moved up their seat licenses so they can run these programs. It's smart for Microsoft, and like I said, the software ecosystem is working for them, and at the same time they're pushing their hardware, they're still pretty software agnostic, platform agnostic, which is what they've always pretty much been, and I think it's smart for them. But it is a
Yeah, don't
really
get me
well done
wrong.
app.
I like the play because
Mhm.
that says, well, I have this Android phone, and we were thinking about going Office 365 and for the Office, and maybe we should now.
What's
I think
interesting though, you can't load it on a tablet. You could on the
well, they
iPad.
did lock it for tablets.
They
Yeah.
did lock for tablets, and their answer is, hey, use the web apps, which work great, by the way, and are free. So you don't even have to buy anything to use their web apps. So,
I agree. There was no reason to do that, and
but the one area that, and this will kind of swing us into the phone segment, is Skype keeps getting updated on Android and iPhone. I have both in the house here. I tested it last night. I was playing with it. I sent a video message to my wife, to Monica, just from the Android Skype to the iPhone Skype. It was pretty cool. Hey, how are you? Send video. Doesn't work on my Windows phone.
Hey, go where the market share is, Darren. We're only 3% here.
We're 4% now. We'll get to that in a second.
I like 3. I liked it when we're 3.
But I don't mind them building for the other ecosystems. I know there are people all over Twitter pissed off there's Office for iPad and iPhone and Android.
I saw
That's fine. But at least have just have the same app. Give me the same feature set. And my only hope is that, and I said this in our forums, I think, is that in 8.1, which is not coming for a while, which has gotten Microsoft in a little trouble as the Nokia guys are like, hey, can you speed up these processes, please? We're putting out this hardware. Is that's going to be more baked into the OS than it is now, which would make sense because I think Microsoft owns Skype. So maybe they're just waiting for that because we're getting all these literal iterations of updates on the Windows Phone. But for right now, I have Office. If I put the two apps next to each other and just brought them on the street, Office, Skype, OneNote, SkyDrive. With the exception of SkyDrive, I think the other 3 apps, people would be like, I like that one better, and point to the Android phone or the iPhone. That's not good as a Windows Phone user. I know we talked about Instagram and these other apps, and we'll get to that in a second. You got to support, and that's I think what the Nokia guys were saying. It's not these big apps. It's your apps.
Correct.
And it's at least make them at least make them on par. I'm not saying squash your iPhone's Skype app so the Windows Phone one's better. I'm saying make them both great. At least, and the iPhone and Android Skype right now is awesome. I could be like, hey, you're traveling, you're in a different time zone. You're traveling 8 hours away. I don't want to wake you, but I'm going to send you a voice message. Instead of a voice message, here's a video message. Or I want to show you something. Hey, check out this little thing. Here's a video of it. And it just works. And you can't do that from Windows Phone. It's not the biggest feature. It's not a reason to get a Windows Phone or not get a Windows Phone. But it doesn't help.
But it's a reason not to leave or not to consider it. And
exactly.
You're preaching to the choir. I understand. I see it being thrown back to Microsoft. Why can't our platform be just as good as their platform? Now, remember, they've had developers on those other platforms for years.
I know.
Working on that. And I
when
brought
Skype
that
was
up.
Independent.
Yeah, I brought that up last week. And I have to tell myself, you have to be patient. You have to be patient with the podcast app guys. You have to be patient with the Twitter app guys. Because they haven't had that luxury of years and years to work on this thing, like some of the iOS folks have, and some of the Android folks have. So.
And I know other Jim in the chat room just said, or put it a different way, Darren, don't make people worried that's a dead-end product. And I don't think the Windows Phone's going anywhere right now. But someone I was talking to who works at a client said to me he wouldn't get a Windows Phone because they're going to Zune it anyway. And they get cold feet quick.
It's tough. How do you combat that?
I couldn't.
The press just throws that in your face. The press will throw in the kin in your face. And why should I get that thing? Yeah, you have to kind of talk yourself out of that and say, Microsoft is committed. We as 3%ers understand that, but it's hard to.
Baze quickly in the chat room said no way, and I think for right now he's right. I agree. I hope that's where they're going.
That doesn't convince someone to spend 2 years of their life on a phone that might go away.
I wish I can
no way.
I can go and show 10 million people tomorrow how great a Windows Phone and make them all get it, and then all the apps would come, and we'd be okay and go live happily ever after. But there is a wall we're fighting over, and you got to have
It takes time. Microsoft has to earn this back, and they're going to have to earn it back, as we're saying, a little more swiftly.
And
get the Skype fixed.
I agree. And
get 8.1 out there, get Blue out there for Windows Phone.
Right. Hopefully you can speed that up a little bit.
You've got the partner. You've got the greatest hardware partner in the world with the Nokia device.
I agree. I think
Let's get it
Nokia, by
rolling.
the way, I will still say Nokia makes the best hardware, and I think the number one Android phone in the market is the S3 still. Most people have it, and it's right here. Hardware-wise, this is a piece of you know what.
Right.
This is a piece of junk, and the TouchWiz crap that came on it, their version of Android, I wiped off here so quick. And that's only because I'm a tech, I know what I'm doing. I can, I root my phone and throw something
Didn't
else on
stop them
there.
from selling billions of the things,
Well,
though.
that's what's scary to me. And that's a little, I mean, the Nokia hardware is unreal. You lifted
We
the,
talked about this last week, Darren,
yeah, I know, it's the same
about the
story.
camera on that thing. Is
Hmm.
people came from a flip phone, they bought that S3, and they're like, "Wow, this camera is awesome. Why would I need anything else? This camera's great."
And it's interesting. And, but there is some good Windows Phone news this week. We have the Microsoft Bing updates for Windows Phone. So Bing is kind of baked into the
Oh.
operating system. Here's but my first big takeaway from all this
Okay.
is that it's auto updated from Microsoft, and there's no carrier or manufacturer's holds like a GDR2 or anything.
Isn't that awesome?
So, because I was a little worried because it's not like an app that would be updating. It's more like the behind the scenes stuff and the search button. I'm like, oh, this is going to be come out in January. Somehow they're able to bypass for this part of the update and go right to the phones. So
Right.
when we start seeing it,
Now that's the advantage the carrier slash creator owns. I
hmm
mean, Google's the same way. Apple's the same way. They can
well,
iterate their apps whenever they want.
hmm
So that is the positive aspect of being the hardware maker and the software maker all in one.
right. I know. And we actually have two things with Bing this week. I know some of the chat room just said the Bing apps. We'll get to that in a second. This is more of the Bing updates. This is the background stuff when you press
Right.
search. Um, so there's right now apparently I didn't even know this. I don't know if you even figured this out. There are 4 categories of search results, and I checked, and it really was there. Web, local, media, and shopping, and they're being changed to web, images, and videos. Images and videos won't automatically load though because of bandwidth. I'm a little ticked about local because local actually worked pretty well. I don't know why they're getting rid of local, but hey, we'll see how it works once we'll talk about that more once we start seeing it, which should be next. They say the end of this week, so hopefully soon. Um, and it introduces instant answers, and I've used Bing on the desktop before. I'm not a big Bing user, I still use Google. And DuckDuckGo. I do like my
Right.
DuckDuckGo.
Alta Vista, baby.
Off the Vista, they're gone. Did you have a vigil? It was on the Marissa Meyer Death Watch. Um,
Uh,
so instant answers, which apparently on the desktop is coming to the phone. And like I said, the big news out of that is that they're able to update this kind of stuff, which means like if there's an issue or something with the mail app, they should be able to update it. And it's these kind of things, and it's kind of cool part of Windows Phone is they feel very much integrated into the OS, like the mail app. When you open the mail app, it's like you're not opening an app. It feels like you're just sliding a page or something. But it is an app, and they can fix that. But so you'll get very quick answers in this instant answers to flight queries, traffic, exchange rates, word definitions, and translations. Stuff we always hear that Google does on their phones. So Bing will have it there. And we also have Bing apps who they were leaked today that they're coming out. When I went to the store, it said they're pulled by the publisher. So I'm sure I don't know what's going on with that, but there's going to be the same Bing apps we have on the desktop with Windows 8. You're going to have sports, news, and weather. And I know
mhm.
Richard was using that, or he got a copy. It maybe was up for a few seconds there. Um, they make the apps on the desktop are great, so I really can't wait to play with these. And apparently, you can pin your favorite sports team to the and stuff like that to the your front page, start screen, metro screen, and which is what Windows Phone is all about. So if anything else, hopefully these Bing apps do a really good job with live tiles and stuff to show other developers um, what to do. And one last app I want to touch on is we've talked many times about the Instagram or lack thereof. There's the
Right.
Rudy Hun who developed the Vine app,
Right.
6sec, is making an Instagram one now. We have Instance, which does the job right now. This is going to be called Sixtagram, and I got the one of those private beta invites, whatever. So I've been using it a little bit. It is awesome.
You like it?
It is better than any other Instagram on any other platform. It has features that Instagram should have, and my guess is
I
will
saw the
have.
video. It looked really good.
The way you can flip the top, you can actually try to open it. I don't know if you have to see on the camera for those watching. I'll give it a try.
Okay,
We'll see how that
show
works.
us. It's
Let's see here.
you're not going to break your NDA or anything, are you?
No, I don't think there's an NDA. I think a
Okay.
lot of people have been doing this. You saw the video, right? So here's one of the pictures, whatever. If you swipe this way, right? This way. Swipe. It flips over, which is kind of neat. And when you flip it over, you have your like button. It has a comment button. It has a share button, and it has a download button, which is kind of neat. It's hard to tell because it's white, that background. So I'll flip it back over there, and you get the pictures again. I'm sorry, I'm not good at this. One thing, though, that's really neat that the Instagram app doesn't have at all is if you pinch. So, you want to pinch. It kind of gives you a grid view of your Instagram, which is a really nice way to view a lot of pictures at once, and Instagram does not have that. There was a big kerfuffle early in the week. There was a WP Central, Windows Phone Central article saying that this is fully supported by Instagram. And then, Tom Warren of The Verge was on that immediately. It was good news for a minute. Had to squash that.
He's calling his contact. Right?
He's calling his contact.
Yeah.
He apparently the app is being sent to Instagram first. It will be using the public API, and he's making sure, and they will say, this doesn't infringe on any copyrights or anything, and he can go ahead and release the app, which at least means it shouldn't be pulled in the near future. So,
what happened to the Instance app? Darren?
Instance is still there. One thing, Instagram does have video support. It will have video support in the paid version for $1.49, I think.
Okay.
Free version will give you full Instagram without the video uploads.
Oh, how is Instagram letting him charge for that? I don't get that.
That I don't understand either. So we'll see what happens when it's released in the next couple weeks. Instagram is adding now. They're still coming out new iterations of their app, and they came out. Remember their app was first called what was it? Instagram or something. Remember? And they made them change it to Instance. So that kind of went through that same process, and they've had some issues with Instagram anyway. So we'll see how this works.
So is this Instagram saying, yeah, we really aren't writing an app, so we're going to get behind Rudy here. He's writing a pretty good one.
But he's also writing this app for Android using the public API, and it is a really good app. So I'm guessing maybe Instagram saying, hey, in the meantime, we're not going to pull down your app until we get ours out there. Doesn't hurt them. They still get a few more users, and like I said, it's kind of funny. My pictures I take on my 920 and load up to Instagram look a hell of a lot nicer than the ones I take on the S3. So it's not. It's still the issue where it's a third-party app, and there'll never be. Microsoft can say, "Hey, we have Instagram," because if it's pulled, it's like, "Hey, you lied." But there is, this is forget anything else. He's doing these are awesome apps. The Vine app, and
they'll never advertise with it.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, you risk Instagram, pulling the rug out from under you.
Right, and there's this thing last week where all of a sudden all the
pictures are disappearing.
From third party, and I think they got a quick blowback, which might be why they. It was more for the tech press saying, "Come on."
Yeah, no, we were all hitting it on Twitter going,
give the little guys a break.
Yeah, give us little three guys a break.
But it's kind of neat, and I know. Like I say, forget the advertising or the fact that it's not the official app. It is a really good app. Like it's awesome that he can make an app that's better than the official app.
That is pretty.
And he's done it twice now, because Vine on Windows Phone is better than Vine on the other ones, and it's not put out by Twitter, and the real one's coming, so it'll be interesting to see how that is. And the Instagram app. So
yeah, because I use that Ogle Hipstamatic.
Oh, it's awful. I gave up quickly.
It's just the worst experience ever.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ever. And I saw the video to this app. I might even use it because I'm not that kind of person, Darren. I'm not a Pinterest, Instagram kind of guy, but I do have an account. I put pictures out there every once in a while, just trying it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like to take a picture and tweet it.
I took a picture of my lunch
today. Why do
I
have to do Instagram?
You could put
Why do I have to do that?
borders and filters, and
Okay.
I think you could do that in Twitter now actually too. Um, so and now one of the things people have been talking about is the whole, and I don't know if you saw the chart that's in the show notes here,
Mhm.
is the Windows Phone percentage, and it's a small market share. Well, some good news for us users. First of all, Windows Phone is definitely number 3 phone in the world behind Android and
We are 3.
iPhone. I
I
think
like the number.
BlackBerry. I mean, I can't. I actually thought they'd have a number that would just hold on to those devices.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Like, there are
How
people
far?
it's amazing. It's
How
scary. That
far they
is
fell.
scary.
It is. It is.
Um, for the second quarter of 2013, which is April, May, June, Windows Phone was 8.7% of shipments. So that brings us up to close to 4% of current market, but that's still 9% of the last quarter, which is not bad. Like I said, if they can get to that 10 to 12% market, even stay there. And I think what's important in this is, and it had Android at, and this is what I wanted to get into. Android has 187 million units shipped in the quarter, which, it's how many million a day? 79.3% of all phones. iPhone is at 13%. So iPhone was at, let's see. Oh no, that's total market share. So iPhone's 13, Windows Phone is 4%. And Windows Phone was 8.7 million units. Sorry, I had a little confused. But one thing I would love to see, and this is, by the way, I think it was 77. Let's see, 77.6% year-over-year change for Microsoft. Android, even though it was big a year ago, was 73.5% year-over-year. That is a huge number.
It's
But
big.
then you start thinking about it, and I think IDC or whoever does these reports, they might have it in their, they release this big book, and I'll try to find it online. I'll put a blog post up about it. I really want to see, Android split out, and here's why. And you have Android where you have the Google Play Store installed and the Google Apps installed, and that's the Android we know mostly in this country, and that's on our Samsung and all that Galaxy for now, and we'll get to that in a second. In most developing countries, and not just developing countries, in most of these Android phones sold in China, they have no remnants of Google on them. They have their own app store, whatever the carrier is, develops their own app store and their own email app. So Google gets nothing out of the phone. And to me, that's not the Android that people think is being, I think developers know this based on their revenue, why iPhones they're getting more revenue from their iPhones if they're not selling nearly as much. Because every iPhone comes, no matter where you are in the world, with the Apple iStore, what's it called? App Store.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these Google phones are not coming with the Play Store. They're using the Android, the AOSP, the Android Open Source Project, which is free. They put it on, their piece of, we'll go back to the piece of crap hardware. I mean, it makes Samsungs look good. And they put some crazy little operating system or app store, which, by the way, these app stores have been destroyed by spyware and malware because they don't have, Google has some kind of checks and balances going on there. They have nothing. So a huge number of these phones are not running the Android we think about when we hear those Androids. On top of that, you have Kindle. Kindle's another one. Took the Android open source project, skinned it, put the Amazon App Store on it, took off the Google Play Store. Nook HD had, now it's running a little bit of Android on it. So Android should be kind of broken out. If we're talking, because if you do that, all of a sudden the Windows market share, as it moves up, doesn't have to get to these huge numbers because it's really 12 different players, not 3 players, and that's now. And then you have the Samsung. I think it was might have been the CEO said just yesterday. They're building another operating system called Tizen, Tizen, or as my wife would say, Tizen. They're building this operating system, and they said we want this on every device.
I think this is a great move by Samsung. I say
It's
go
genius.
for it.
Genius.
Go for it.
Because how many people are buying the Galaxy?
Yeah.
They don't care. They're buying. They've created the Apple type mystique around their product. Not saying it's as good, getting into that debate, but they have created a mystique around their product to the point where when the Galaxy S5 comes out, they didn't mention Android until about 40 minutes into their presentation anyway during their horse and pony show. So if next year, which they just showed, no, a Canadian laptop. The
Chat room.
chat room. The But if they just said Samsung Galaxy S5, you wave your hand in front of it, it watches your eyes, it knows when you sleep, it knows when you're awake, and
Powered by Tizen.
It's Santa Claus. They don't even have to say Tizen. They don't even have to say the word. You
Yeah.
get it, and there's an app store and all this. You don't even know. They just pulled off Android, and they're using their own operating system.
I say go for it, Samsung. That would be the best thing ever for Windows Phone users and the platform.
Well, I think that, and I think, but you're going to start to see, and I think anyone who thinks it's a 3 or 4 dog race is severely mistaken, because we're going to see within Android now we're split up, and people talk about fragmentation on the versions of Android, but the real fragmentation is, like I said, the Google Play Store versus not the Play Store. And now we're going to start to see, you're going to see Samsung push Tizen, and if that's successful, LG is going to push LG version. HTC is going to have HTC version, and we're going to get into this place where Apple might once again, by the way, have the highest number of users, but it might be 13%.
I think Google's going to step in before this happens. I think Google's going to rein that back in, get that control back of their product.
I think they're going to let it go, and I think they're going to work. I think they're going to use Motorola for part of it, and I think we're going to start to see some Chrome. I think we're going to start to see some Chrome phones.
Yeah. No, you see, I would say they rein it in to a point where they become
like Apple
and Microsoft. They have their hardware, they have their software. It's
the
best of the best, and they can still license Android, but they're going to make it so strict about the feel. You're not going to be able to Samsung it, and Samsung is going to be on their own. But you're right, it's not a 3-horse race anymore.
I think it's going to be 7 or 8 players, and Microsoft, you don't need to reach that. If the iPhone could be the leader, iOS, at 13% in 3 years.
Yeah, and these horses are going to come from places that we didn't think of back then. Like I just read that the Ubuntu phone is dying on the vine because it can't get funded.
Yeah.
Well, when this comes up, it's like, oh my God, that's the next greatest thing. That's a CES thing. The Firefox phone is going to fizzle out in third world countries. And yeah, we're going to be right back to iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and BlackBerry. I think BlackBerry still has a chance, but I think that they're going to have to.
I think they'll be a software company.
Yeah, they're going to have to make some concessions, and I think they've lost the hardware battle. They are a software company.
I agree, and we just saw this week. I know they just said for Africa only, but everyone knows it's coming soon. Samsung is adding BBM to all their phones.
Yeah, they're going to have to make the move that Nintendo did not make.
Exactly. Yeah. And but I think this is actually good news for Windows Phone, because they just need to build on this trek they're going. That's why I was saying before, with the whole Zune thing, is just don't get cold feet, because the rest of the market's coming back to you. You don't have to go get the rest of the market. And I think what's going to happen is, and it's kind of funny, if you think back to the first iPhone, when Steve Jobs was up there with it's a phone, it's an iPod, it's the internet device or something. And he kept repeating that. Right. We call it iPhone. Remember, he's like, you never need to install apps. We have web apps. You go to a website and you pin it.
And it's OS 10.
And it's OS 10. Right, yeah, right. But what's interesting about that is, as we get more iterations of phones, more and more app developers are going to have to go to the HTML5 route. And HTML5 might be ready now. It wasn't ready when the first iPhone came out for web apps. It might be ready now, where these app developers might say, you know what, I'm going to develop one app, and all these platforms will support HTML5. They can just add a web app, or however they're going to call it, even if they have to skin an HTML5 in their app store. I think it actually works for the users, where it won't matter what platform you like or you use or you're forced to use, because you're locked into a 3-year Verizon contract, and like Verizon did with their flip phones back in the day, you turned it on, it was Verizon, and they can go back to that. You'll still be able to use your app, so I think in the end, even though there'll be people pissed off at Samsung for going Tizen or LG for going their iteration, what's going to happen is it's going to force the app developers and force the app community to say, we need more of a standard because we can't have teams supporting 12 different platforms on a startup. But if I have a startup, I want to build an HTML5 app that can run across all platforms off the bat.
Yeah,
So I think that could be a win for the users.
I feel the same way. We're definitely not there. But
No.
how I was figuring is someday if
Mm-hmm.
HTML does catch on,
Mm-hmm.
and there will still be platform apps, but there will
Right.
always be that scaled down, like you can get it done version with HTML5 in a web app.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, listen, HTML5 for video works great now. The mobile YouTube, I still have the YouTube app installed on my phone because I didn't uninstall it since it was pulled from the store.
Right.
But, the m.youtube.com uses HTML5, and it works. Now, even if you had to skin that and charge 99 cents per platform, you can probably skin them quickly and just push them out. Facebook tried this, and it backfired at the beginning, so now they're actually coding for devices, except for Windows Phone. But I think this is a win for users. Obviously more options is good, but I think it also forces the app development community. It's more of an open thing, so you can use what's best for you, best for your company, or best for your personal needs. So it's just interesting. I think it opens the door, and like I said, I think Microsoft just continue this climb. Like I said, get up to 8 or 10%, and I think you're going to start seeing the rest of the pack come back to you. So.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll come back at episode 188 in 2 years and see how wrong I was.
I'm still going to say I'm a 3%er, Darren.
That's 3.8, so you're okay.
I feel like that makes me different. I'm a 3%er. And just like I said last week when that Microsoft employee asked me, he says, why did she ask me? She's like confounded to see a Windows Phone walk into her store rather than walk out, right? Why did you buy a Windows Phone? And I was just like, I like being different. I like it.
Fair enough.
All right, fair enough. Now, I teased everybody about apps, right? We were going to talk some apps. And you've kind of teased us, Darren, about the Bing apps. Not the back end, but the front end.
Yes.
So I installed some tonight. I'm pretty impressed. Did you get a chance to take a look?
Let me go take that. I looked before it said publisher pulled down. I'll give it a shot now. But you go ahead and...
So Bing Weather, Bing News, Bing Sports, what am I missing? Bing Markets, Bing Finance, something?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Ooh, no ratings yet. It's new.
Yeah, I saw that. So we're all looking down at our phones, but...
it's great for podcasting.
Get
ignore the audience.
Yeah, it's a great audio tool to look down to your phone while you're still recording. I downloaded the Bing Weather. I like it. I like being able to flip through.
I'm shocked you did weather first.
Oh, I'm a weather hound.
I know.
I am a weather hound.
That's my sarcasm coming through the...
yeah. So I haven't tried like multiple locations or anything, but I was able to, you get your daily, hourly, and you get maps. Now the maps are not the greatest. It's there if you need it, but it's not the greatest. But
it's no My Weather Radar or whatever that other app is.
No, it's not. I still like My Radar. I don't know was that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
It's called My Radar.
Yeah.
They still have a free one out there. It's so hard to show phones on the screen, but My Radar. It looks like Kansas and Texas getting a lot of rain tonight, but great apps.
It's interesting.
And Bing News.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Bing Sports. It links to all the Fox Sports stuff. Let's see. So you go to My Sports. I'm trying this thing out here. Let's go to baseball. Do I get standings? Story? Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, look, under technology and science, from The Verge, Bing apps now available on Windows Phone 8. I don't know about 7.8 or... Yeah, I don't know about 7.8, guys.
You have to go to them. I'm going to check I'll just check the blog really quick. Now, I'm trying to see if the live tile for the MLB, you can pin, like, the sport. So
Can you pin a team?
That's what I'm going to play with. First, I'm trying just the sport, see if it's a live tile or not. See what happens when I open it. That's what I'd like to do is pin the team. So let's see if I don't know where to click on the team, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't
We have to
goofed
play with
around
it
with it.
more,
I've
but
got
it's pretty cool.
news, and news does have a really nice live tile with the
Live tile
picture,
on.
and it'll also do push of
Mhm.
news. So definitely check that out in your marketplace in your Windows Phone 8 cellular telephone device.
I'll check the Windows Phone blog while we're sitting here.
Okay. We went over Skype updates, but Skype, real quick, you can filter contacts finally.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just skip
What?
it. It's depressing. There was an update on Skype. You could see
I'm
who's.
not a developer, so I mean, I'm thinking not a whole lot of code there, but hey, I'm not a developer, so I'm not even going to touch it.
Let's see. It says Windows Phone 8 in the Windows actually the official Windows Phone blog. So I'm guessing that means that
I
it's
think the
just.
7-8ers are going to.
It looks like once again, and that's part of the issue. I think there were some people who got on board early with Windows Phone or 7, and those people have been left out of a lot of apps. And
Yeah.
it looks like the same again here.
I, I hate to tell you this, and I hate for the 7-8s and the Windows 7 guys. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me. I feel for them.
Hmm.
I feel bad for them, but it doesn't bother me.
It's nice of
I
you.
don't want to say maybe you shouldn't have gotten in so early, but um, that's the pain. That's the growing pains of a new platform.
Well, I'm sure they
That
feel better now.
happens.
I'm sure they feel better than you
They
sympathize.
feel great now, don't they? That's the growing pains of a new platform. That
And
is going to happen.
I think you have some competition things you want to talk about here.
Um, I sent a tweet out about my start page. I don't know. Did anybody ever figure out all of my icons on my start page? So that little contest didn't work very good.
That's a no.
That's a no. nobody nobody cares. I like sharing start pages. I like seeing other people's how they have theirs arranged. So maybe we should get another thread going in the forums.
Yeah, yeah. Do a little
Show
screen capture and upload them to the forums.
Yeah, show your phone. Um, but kind of what I teased you about earlier. I'll do this. I'm going to talk podcast first before we talk Twitter, because I think Twitter is a bigger topic because that's going to float on to future weeks. So podcasts. Somebody out there in the Twitterverse world recommended an app called Podcast Picker.
Ooh.
Podcast Picker. Um, I can honestly say there are still Surface George saying that was me, dude. I get so many emails, man. I promise. A lot of them are good. A lot of them are, shut the hell up, Dave. You don't know what you're talking about. But it sort of has playlists. But let's work through this. Podcast Picker. I think it's $1.99 in the App Store. It's one of those where if you listen to podcasts, don't even hesitate. Purchase it and check it out. I had been using iPodcasts. I had been using Podcast Lounge, which was highly recommended to me, and I had been using Carboncast. And I have found that Podcast Picker is the absolute fastest feed updater. I mean, this thing just blows through feeds like there's no tomorrow. It is fast, and it will update you. Whereas the one I'd previously been using, iPodcast, was it's definitely slow. It was horrible. Horrible. And I had come out and said, hey, I like this one, guys. You should try that. So here we are again, Podcast Picker. It has the typical Windows 8. It's a typical Windows 8 application where you can sideswipe to a whole different slew of information. Subscribed, you have an unplayed list. So there's one playlist of unplayed. You have a downloading tab where it'll show you how many downloads you have in progress. Your unplayed. Something I like is your last played. It'll go. You always have the podcast that you played. Sorry, my mouse is in spaces again. It always has the podcast you played last on a screen, and you can get to that very easily. The live tile displays how many unplayed podcasts you have. One thing that I like about this thing is in the settings you can go in it and you can say don't download anything. Because it drives me nuts when you subscribe to a podcast and it starts sucking down 2 or 3 episodes and storing it on your phone. I do not like that.
You mean like the built-in podcast app?
Like a lot of podcast apps.
I think Carboncast does that too, right?
A lot of them you can just train to download one, which is what I used to live with. But this one, you can just say don't. And then when you choose, it'll tell you how many new and unplayed podcasts you have. And when you choose that episode, it gives you 2 buttons, Darren. One for download and one for stream. It's an amazing change for me. The other thing I got to thinking about is there's a very large list of podcast apps for Windows Phone 8. And I know this happened on in other marketplaces as well. There's a lot of apps come out, a lot of horses leave the gate, but only a couple of horses actually finish this race. And I should feel fortunate that I have so many choices. There are a lot of choices, and I've been typically pretty rough on these podcast apps. So I kind of do an about face that I should be thankful that I have so many choices, and I am, and I try not to be rough on our devs out there. But I really really like this one. So.
What's kind of funny is, a lot of people, including both of us, have said, hey, out of the box, the podcast stunk on Windows Phone, blah, blah, blah. There really is no, Android has no built-in. These have Listen. I think they got rid of that. iOS has, they keep trying to fix their podcast app. It used to be built into iTunes. It always stunk. So podcast kind of is one of those apps where the third-party community kind of built the platform.
Yeah, I applaud Microsoft for including it into their platform and allowing people to experiment and say, well, what's this podcast thing? Well, I can look at this. Maybe I listen to one. I view a video podcast or two, and if they want to continue on, then they start asking questions. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Agreed.
Agreed
too.
That's my podcast pick of the week is Podcast Picker.
And there you go. And if we're going to do a quick pick of another non-podcast app,
okay.
I think this is a Nokia exclusive. So for those on 8X and those, it came out yesterday. Active Fitness. It's a fitness app. There's been a few that finally came out. Some of the early ones didn't do a very good job of it. It's a free app, but it has some in-app purchases, which from the last couple weeks we're big fans of. Where if you're doing some real run training and stuff, it has a program to get you on there. You can create your own plans and stuff that's for free. It also just records all your, your running, your walking, anything outside, and all your workouts and stuff. But it's pretty cool, and I think it is a Nokia exclusive that was just out. So if you're into that kind of stuff on your phone, give that a try. And
sounds good.
And it's summer, so it's good to be outside. So.
Yeah, it's good to be outside. So, Dan, we've been talking this week about something else. Instead of coming out here and saying I'm having so many troubles with podcast apps and Twitter apps, let's talk about Twitter. Let's lay it out there and let the community actually give us some feedback about what they're using, and we're going to start. Our first showdown is Twitter apps. Now we're going to extend this to music. We're going to extend this to podcast apps, and but we're going to start with Twitter. And I'm starting this because I have yet another Twitter app. I'm kind of two-fisting this, Darren. I have to use two. I use one app as a notification device, a means of notifying me, and I have another app in which I use just to consume Twitter. So my new one is called Meadow, Mehdoh. Have you ever heard of this thing?
I have. I think I played with that a while back. I played with so many over the
I know. I think we're all the same. We've played with a lot of apps. This guy will do SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
It will
That's kind of
also.
neat.
I think it is It's also an Instagram viewer. Viewer only. Man, I question why they did that because every one of their reviews out there is someone slamming them for saying you can't post on Instagram. 1 star. So I feel bad for the guys.
That goes for most app developers, by the way.
They should have left that one alone. But Meadow, that is it's one I'm using right now. It needs some work, but so I use a combination of Meadow and Twabbit. I like my Twabbit. It just doesn't notify me. So we're going to open up a showdown with all these apps, and we're going to open it to the forums, and we're going to have a little segment on it. We're not going to spend a full hour on it, but there's a lot of things. I started writing down, Darren, what I would like, and I'm just going to go through some of this criteria real quick. Timeline options, how to get to the top. When you open the app, where does it start? The last one you read, or the last one you received?
What do you like? What do you like? It's funny.
You know what? I need to live in the now. So I live in the now. I go to the top.
I agree. Same here, and then I work my way backwards.
A lot of people throw that back at you. Say no. Where I left off, like 3 hours ago, and then they work back up through hundreds and hundreds of tweets.
I don't want to see that the Mets were winning 1-0 when it's now 7-1. When I can see they're down 7-1 from the top tweet.
Exactly. So it's rough. That is a personal preference. The app needs to have both of those abilities to do that. And how easily can you do that? I need to double tap timeline, and it better take me to the top pretty fast. That's what I'm saying. There's all kinds of other settings for mentions, messages, searching, and composing. I've had I am right, you are right, Darren is wrong. Composing, a lot of the apps that I've composed tweets on just drive me bonkers, because if I have to hit shift to get to the @ symbol, your app has failed.
The only two apps that I used for any prolonged period of time was the official Twitter app and Rowie Pro. Rowie is really fast. That's what Rowie seems to work really fast. But I seen the official Twitter app. I'm just reading the chat room at the same time. The official Twitter app. Sometimes notifications work better, so I like to have that on my front page for that reason. It seems to get them faster. But that and Rowie are the ones I go back and forth. But People Hub, the sneak peek. I do post from People Hub a lot, from a tweet. Like if I don't have to open Twitter, I'll do it right from People Hub.
What makes you go into People Hub first?
I like going to
what drives you into
my notifications. The me tile.
Yeah. You can
Facebook or Twitter or whatever notifications are sitting there. Usually hours before the Facebook app updates, by the way. While we're sitting here, I got 2 updates that I got on the me tile 5 hours ago. But anyway, the Me Hub, it's as Surface George said, it's great for uploading photos and sharing, checking in location-wise. We do that. You can do it multiple places. kind of baked into the phone. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, the me towel, tapping your own head is somewhat fun.
Sometimes I forget about it. Like sometimes you forget it's there because you're so used to that app mentality we've kind of been taught by the other platforms.
I'm so used to complaining about no notifications that I forget about my me towel.
Right, and we have the notifications thing. Go on the forums, by the way. There was a good talk about notifications this week, and do we need them? Do not is live tiles enough? Do we need some kind of? I was saying that we need some kind of toast history or call it notifications. Some people are saying live tiles are enough, but that's another good topic going on in the forums. That go let us know what
It
you're
is.
doing.
It is. It's to each their own kind of
Mhm.
thing. And so we have to convince Microsoft to help us out. Give us some choices. Composing tweets. I need an @ sign and a pound sign on my screen at all times, so I can compose. And I need autofill. So and autofill. I guess you always autofill who you're subscribed to.
Right.
Sometimes I'm not subscribed to someone and I want to like tweet to them.
So what, are they supposed to figure it out from all the billions of Twitter users? Because
Yeah, that's the
you had an
tough one.
idea.
So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's not gonna happen, is it?
I think actually Instagram does that. As I mock you, I think Instagram actually does that.
So I love that autofill, tap, go. Retweet, always give me an option to quote.
Or edit,
Um,
yeah.
so I can add some stuff in there. One of my apps that I opened up, I hit the retweet button and woohoo, it just went. I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, that's how Twitter let me see here. I haven't done this on the Twitter app it lets you quote the tweet on the official Twitter app. For the longest time, all official Twitter products, whether it was the web or any of their stuff, it was just automatic retweet because they didn't that whole RT and comment thing. That was like a way to get around their system. So at least they're finally embracing it.
Right. Yeah. I've thrown in some bonus points for Twitter clients. Is one that I don't think will ever happen, but sync with a desktop or an RT client. I know everybody out there, frustrating if you're a Twitter hound. Going to your desktop after being gone a day and twittering a lot, you've got to clear all your DMs, you got to clear all your mentions and everything. If you have multiple accounts, like I have 2 Twitter accounts, it's a pain in the butt. You must have share options. Let's talk about some share options. I like Pocket. I like to be able to send link to Pocket and view that later. So I think that's kind of cool. At least be able to share via email. So, and that's just all I could think of, like really quickly. But we're gonna throw down Medo, MeTweets, Twabbit, Twitter, People Hub,
and Rowie. Gotta have
Rowie.
And let us know what you're using out there.
Yeah, let me know exactly.
Fix Dave's phone forum.
Forums. That's where to do this.
And it's kind of funny. We are a Surface Geeks show, and speaking of Twitter, Surface Geeks, if you are a Surface RT or a Windows 8 user, MetroTwit, the Metro version, not the desktop version that runs on the old desktops, has been updated for Windows 8 and is actually really good. I love their desktop Twitter client, used it for a long time, but their Windows 8 version was awful, and I think they knew it, and they built it from the ground up. It still has a few little things that'll work out, but it's really nice, looks really well pinned left or right, and Windows 8.1 it's great because you can pin a couple columns left or right. But really nice. And the Twitter client, I think, finally added list support. So if you're on Surface RT and looking for a Twitter client, give MetroTwit a try. And if you're just on Windows 8 or Windows 7, give the regular Windows 8, give the MetroTwit desktop client. They're really good Windows developers and Microsoft people, and it's always good to support independent developers. So MetroTwit.
I like MetroTwit. I'm using their Windows RT app. I don't have any problems with it.
Right.
I mostly consume via RT though. I just read.
Yeah, I a lot of times have the feed open just on the RT on the side.
Yeah. I just read. Just experience.
Music playing and the RT playing on top of it.
There
the
you go.
Xbox Music
There you
experience.
go. Actually, I've been using everything lately. I
Mm.
have no laptop, so
Right.
I have to. I'm using RT. I'm using that Acer W3, and I'm using my phone a lot. I just use the phone. Um,
Thank God it has a big screen.
yeah, I haven't been very productive lately. Um,
The pool, it doesn't matter what you use in the pool.
I need that. I need that laptop. I'm
Did
dying
you,
for a
speaking
laptop.
of the
I'm
pool,
waiting
did you
for the.
see
I
the
just saw it
Haswell?
today. It's a new Samsung,
Oh, there you go.
a new Haswell Samsung. So hopefully they got this heat issue with the Haswell chipset figured out, and because that thing's $1,400.
I hope they figure it out soon because yesterday, Mary Jo Foley, she was filling in on the What the Tech podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and she said she's looking at the MacBook Air
What?
because she can't find a laptop. She put
Oh,
Windows on it. She would run Windows on it, but she's looking at the MacBook Air. I think that tells you where the OEM problems are.
no, it tells you the gap that we're in.
Right.
We
Well,
didn't
it is, but
the overlap didn't happen.
they have their Haswell laptop, and it doesn't overheat, and it has big battery life. Where ours?
No, just like what you said last week, they made some right decisions. They've put their money down on the table with Intel, and they got the first batch.
Yeah, well, good. It's a great hardware, no matter what the
Yeah,
OS
but
running on it.
there's no touch on it.
There is no touch.
I like their hardware.
She
I
hates touch
like their
anyway, so
hardware.
it's fine.
She does.
She
So,
loves her RT, so she's on RT.
and it's not the greatest experience. It's a completely different experience with Windows on it.
Today, I actually closed the window I was working on something because I totally forgot my screen had touch. I touched something I shouldn't have. And it was like the side of my hand hit the screen. I'm on an Asus, that's what I'm doing the show on right now. And I was like, oh, no, it has touch.
Yeah.
But
I just sold my MacBook Air. The good thing about it, it was a 2010, late 2010 MBA, and I sold it for half its value.
they have great resale value, as does the iPhone and the iPad. So
Yes, they do. People like those Apple products.
because they just work.
They just work. Hey, let's talk about. We're talking about somewhere that I was shopping a lot. I was really, really rough on Best Buy, and anytime I criticize someone, I get email. So I get a lot of email, background email from different people, and a lot of folks are like, right on. We know. So, and we're trying to fix that. So, Microsoft is opening up their new store within the Best Buys, and I believe they opened up either this week or coming very soon in the Los Angeles store. So, looks really good. So, I can't wait till they get the complete store built here in Indianapolis. I can't wait to give them a visit. So.
Well, I think they're all. I think the first one just opened, correct? I was just looking at my Major League Baseball thing on Bing. The live tile does work, but it's just a picture of a player and a headline behind it. So,
Oh,
well,
it's not like box score or anything.
like the ESPN app just scrolls through all the scores, which is kind of cool if you set your teams. But anyway,
I would like to set my team so I
well, you can do
always
that on the
know.
ESPN app. You can do that.
Okay, just I
Yeah.
want my team.
So, and that's why you like for Twitter, like I said, you don't want to be like, oh look, Andrew Luck just threw a touchdown, but then you get to the top and he's throwing his fifth interception. So you got to top down. You need that for the live tiles too.
Top down. I need to know what's going on now.
I think the first Best Buy opened today, right? The first Microsoft store in LA, it opened today, I believe. It was the first official store within a store opening.
Store within a store. I did get to see. I saw maybe a photo or two of it. It looks really good.
Why is Jim Collison mention Drobo? Am I missing something? Is there a Drobo app on the Windows
I
phone?
have no idea. Our chat room is a very lively bunch, and you just never know what's going to go on out there. Don't forget the meetup, September 21st. Go head out there to the forums, read about it, come attend.
Is Jim bringing a Drobo?
We've got a Drobo to give away.
Oh.
We're giving away like 3 NAS devices, Darren. 3 NAS devices. You could come as a Surface Geek and walk home with a Drobo or an iOmega or maybe even a Synology box.
You know, whenever I hear the name Drobo, I don't know if you remember the early days of Twit and MacBreak Weekly. They actually had a Drobo theme one of their listeners made, and whenever I hear the word Drobo, it just plays in my head over and
They used
over again.
to they used to be sponsored by Drobo a
At
lot
the beginning in MacBreak
several
Weekly,
years
yeah,
ago. Yeah.
yeah, and they had a little jingle.
Oh, I don't remember a jingle. I just
Yeah,
remember
there was a jingle, so it still
seeing
plays in my
once.
head. Some musician from Nashville made a jingle for them. It was when
Yeah.
Merlin Mann used to be on Weekly.
Oh wow, we've it must be late because we're digressing very, very fastly. Let's get out of here. That's been Surface Geeks 34. Meet us in the forums. We're having a great time. You can log in with your Microsoft Live ID. You don't have to burn a new password, learn a new password, or do anything else like that. You can pick a screen name for the forums. That's not your Live ID, but you can use your Live ID to sign in. So it's a great time. Come out there and talk about stuff with this. We're talking Windows 8, we're talking Surface, we're talking Windows RT, you name it. We're talking it out there in the forums. And Darren, I guess we're going to see you here back next week.
Sounds good. And if you're an RT user, tweet about your Windows RT. I think some people actually using the device. Like I always said, if you go to the forums, people use them, like them. Make it a little more public. Maybe some developers, maybe some people see it on Twitter. You're tweeting from RT and say, "Hey, maybe we should create something." They're
Show
more
the
than
love. Show the
yeah.
love. Hey, and
Can't
I
hurt.
know there's probably one or two of you out there, but if you use iTunes to download or manage podcasts, hey, go find the Surface Geeks podcast in the iTunes store. Give it a little rating. Give it some stars. You don't have to type out a review, but if you do type out a review and give us some stars, we'll move up the chain of command there and try to get a couple of more people listening to the show. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for participating in the forums. We're going to see you here next week. Goodbye. Hour and a half.
Wow.